Yo, what's up guys? You got II here today once again, and I'm bringing you the March Madness Pool 1 phase. I'm just giving you my matches and the replays that go along with them. Thought about live recording it, but I just didn't have the time to do so when I played these matches. So I know I didn't do a draft recap of what I got. It was an 8-mon draft, and I'm just going to run through them real quick. So I got Mega Gallade, Tornadus Therian as my Z-Mon, Mamoswine, Roserade, Rotom-H, Snorlax, Primarina, and Doublade. Now, I believe I was the 10th person in line to draft what I drafted, so a lot of what I got isn't what I initially wanted. I wanted something like Tapu Koko or Celesteela and things like that. Mega Gallade is still good, of course, and so is Tornadus Therian, but it wasn't my first choice, and knowing that I might have to go up against a lot of those threatening mons and threatening teams, I kind of drafted a way to check the main threats like Koko, Celesteela, Zygarde 50%, etc., etc., Mega Diancie, things like that. So this first replay that I'm about to show you is versus Proof. He drafted Mew, Mega Diancie, Volcarona, Tangrowth, Rotom-Wash, Bronzong, and Zygarde 10%. Volcarona, I believe, is his Z-Mon. Yep. And yeah, he actually only drafted 7 Mons, and I was initially surprised by that, but you know, to each their own, and he still has a very threatening team. Mega Diancie obviously giving that magic bounce support for the Volcarona if he needs it, and then of course he has a bunch of walls that can be tough for my team to break down, but yeah, let's see how it goes. Oh, sorry. So to go off of what I have, I'm also going to be showing you guys my my team builder, or what I use in each of these matches. I was put in a pool with 4 other people, so I will be showing you 4 different replays. I'll be showing you 4 different team builders for what I brought for those matches. Now this may be a bit of a long video, but I wanted to do this, and I wanted to show you my thought process behind what I did and why I brought what I brought, etc. So first off, we'll be going with my team builder versus Proof. So I decided to bring Tornadus Therian first off because I thought it had an amazing matchup with the taunt Hidden Power Steel, which was for the Mega Diancie. It has a chance to one-shot it if it's not rocking much HP. Z Hurricane and the U-Turn. U-Turn obviously for momentum with the Regenerator. Can definitely put in a lot of work. Taunt is actually to stop things like Mew from Calm Mind, soft boiling, and setting up on me. It also stops Volcarona if I already use my Z Hurricane and don't want to risk any more misses. Gets walled by Rotom and Bronzong, but other than that, it can still do a fine job. Bronzong's Gyro Ball does not do enough to kill me, even if it's max attack, and its Explosion also does not kill me, even if it's max attack, so there's that. And then Zygarde 10% actually does outspeed me, but I'm not sure if he'll run max speed versus me. In fact, I doubt he will. I think he'd run more of an adamant base, just so he can hit harder. Plus I have things like Mamoswine, which could obviously be an issue for that. And then next up I have Duggal. So I named all of the Mons after people who are in who have been on the Triggervi channel at least once. Yeah, they're just some close friends of mine, and I felt like I should do them justice somehow. Of course, that being said, Illusion is the outlier there. You know, you can't trust a snake like him. But other than that, yeah, everyone else is a good friend. So next up I have Duggal, the Roserade with the Black Sludge, Toxic, Hidden Power Fire, Giga Drain, and the Synthesis. So Toxic is for things like to wear down Mew. Hidden Power Fire is for Tangrowth and for Bronzong, which actually does a decent amount if it's not heat proof, which I don't think it will be. It's most likely going to be Levitate for Earthquake from Mamoswine. And then Giga Drain is for recovery on things like Rotom-Wash, and then Synthesis obviously also for recovery. Now I can take a Banded Outrage from Zygarde 10%. I don't take it well, but I do take it. Toxic. I can also live in offensive Mew's Psychic and Psyshock, although Psyshock hurts a lot more. but yeah, it might be my play to get that off on Mew before he starts winning with it. So yeah, that's the plan with Roserade. Also Toxic's Volcarona if it tries to set up. I mean, I have other answers for that, being Snorlax and the Primarina, which you will soon see, but let's get into Mamoswine the Ryan, the Mamoswine. So this is, I'm rocking an interesting Mamoswine set. I'm rocking Ice Shard, Earthquake, knockoff Stealth Rock with the leftovers, max HP, max defense with 4 and Spadaf. Now this is mainly for Zygarde 10%. Zygarde 10% is actually a pretty big threat to me, and looking at this team, I figured that max defense Mamoswine is probably going to be my best bet versus that. Knockoff obviously helps me hit Bronzong a lot better, and yeah, leftovers for recovery, of course. Now, something interesting about my team that's kind of bad for me is I only have one Stealth Rocker in being Mamoswine, so that pretty much forces me to bring Mamoswine for every match I have, and that's not good. That's not good. I mean, Mamoswine is a fantastic mon versus the majority of people's teams, but other than that, it being my only rocker really limits it. So I can either choose to have like 4 attacks on Mamoswine, or I can choose to have Stealth Rocks. So it's really like a coin toss depending on matchup. And yeah, so that's one bad thing about my team. Another bad thing is Roserade is also my only other hazard setter in Spikes and Toxic Spikes. Good hazard setter, don't get me wrong, but again, if I don't want to bring hazards on both of those, then I will not be having hazards that match. And I also only have 2 defoggers in Torn T and Rotom-H, which they're not okay. So Tornado's Therian is actually a pretty decent defogger now, but both are weak to rocks, and that could definitely come to bite me sooner rather than later. But yeah, just some weaknesses on my team for opponents who want to watch this and say, hey, oh, he's gonna bring that, and then prep accordingly. But yeah, so next up I have Illusion the Snorlax with the Facade, Curse, Rest, Sleep Talk with the Thick Fat and leftovers. So this thing is mainly meant to deal with the Volcarona. Of course, the Bug Buzz is still going to do a lot to me, but other than that, it deals with it fairly nicely. Facade obviously is boosted if he tries to burn me with like Rotom-Wash or Mew, and it can take Zygarde's banded hits too as well. Not well, but it can take them. Also can set up on Bronzong, which could be helpful, I guess. But yeah, so next up we have Alan, Meee, Primarina with the Assault Vest, Aqua Jet, Sparkling Area, or something like that, Ice Beam, and the Energy Ball. So just in case Illusion here fails in dealing with Volcarona, I wanted another extra check to it. So I'm bringing Assault Vest with the Aqua Jet for priority, Sparkling Area, Ice Beam for Zygarde and Tangrowth, and then Energy Ball for the Rotom-Wash. It can take on, +1 Z Giga Drain from Volcarona, Bloom Doom fairly well, and then you can Aqua Jet for the kill. Bulky Volcarona might be a bit of an issue, but other than that, I think we can take it on fairly decently. Then last but not least, we got BLS, the Mega Gallade with the Substitute, Knockoff, Swords Dance, and the Drain Punch. Enough speed, outspeed, max speed, Volcarona, knockoff for Bronzong, substitute to, so actually, if I go for substitute on Rotom-Wash and he's not special attack invested, it will be able to take a Volt Switch and I'll be behind a sub, so that's the idea behind that. And then Drain Punch is obviously for recovery. Also dodges Will-O-Wisp from Mew, and it doesn't take, or it does take actually Psychic, I believe, from non-offensive Mew, so that's the idea behind that. But yeah, again, I apologize if the screen is kind of too small. Don't really know how to edit that to make it better for Showdown, but yeah, so if you can't see the sets, then, you know, just feel free to listen to what I'm saying. So he decided to bring Mew, Bronzong, Z Volcarona, maybe Z, I don't know, could be something else, Tangrowth, Rotom-Wash, and the Zygarde 10%. So yeah, let's just hop right into the match. So he leads Rotom-Wash. I decided to lead Jack, and I can take a Scarf Volt Switch, and I didn't want Bronzong getting rocks up, and I didn't really want Mew getting rocks up either, or trying to set up, so I decided to lead Tornado's Therian. I figured he'd actually try to lead Rotom-Wash. It has a decent matchup versus my team, but you know, he did what he did. So I don't want to risk a Scarf Thunderbolt actually. So I go hard into Illusion as he just goes for a Volt Switch, and I believe he reveals to be defensive from that damage. So yeah, I get my leftovers back. He goes into Tangrowth. I know a knockoff is probably coming, so I'm gonna go into Jack, and yeah, that's exactly what happens. He goes for knockoff, and I know he won't want to stay in, so I believe I go for the U-turn here. Even if he did stay in, I always had Roserade as a switch in, so that was the idea behind that. And now I can go into Mega Gallade, find out that he's defensive, Mega Evolve, and go for the substitute. Of course, he didn't stay in, unfortunately. I mean, okay, so actually that's probably better that he actually hard switched. I figure he didn't want to take a close combat probably if I was like max attack, but you know, I don't know. Tangrowth, hard Tangrowth probably told me that at the time that he was probably like a Rocky Helmet defensive max defense variant, so I just go for knockoff just in case he's Assault Vest, and he turns out to be the Rocky Helmet variant. So he goes for Giga Drain, that breaks my sub, and it's actually a roll if he's just max defense to break the sub. So I go for Swords Dance here. I thought he'd go for Giga Drain again actually, just to like wear me down. So I probably misplayed there. I don't know why. See, I figured Roserade at the time would be like an obvious switch in, so I thought he might want to either, you know, I don't know what he was thinking at the time actually. If I were him, I probably would have Giga Drain again just in case I went for sub, which was a likely play, but nope, he goes hard Rotom now, as I just try to burn a Turn of Sleep. If I get a Drain Punch off, I am in the clear. So I try to wake up, but I don't. So he goes for Volt Switch, which actually crits me, and yeah, that's not good for me, but now he can bring in Banded Zygarde, and I'm like, okay, so we're in trouble, but I still have max defense Mamoswine as a switch in, so I go into Mamoswine, and he is revealed to be, I believe, Adamant Banded, and that does a ton to me. I know he's not going to want to switch in because no one in the right mind would stay in, because I do have the Ice Shard, so I go for Stealth Rocks. I figure he's faster than me because he got lefties before I did, and I also figured that this is probably his defogger. So I know he's going to go for defog here. There's no way he's hydro pumping, as I just go for knockoff here, get rid of his leftovers, and yeah, Ryan putting in the finest. So I know Volt Switch is very obvious, but I have to switch. I can't risk a hydro pump. I still need Mamoswine for the Zygarde. So I go into Roserade here. Now Roserade can take 1,000 arrows, but I don't have any move to kill Zygarde back, so it's not a good idea for me to stay in. So I actually, oh wait, no, disregard what I said about that. I actually do stay in because I know I can take any one hit, and I don't want it to be a back and forth between Mamoswine taking a hit and then him going Rotom Wash and me just ultimately losing Mamoswine. So I go for the Giga Drain just to get about half damage off of that, as he goes into Bronzong, which is fine with me, right? So now I can go right back out into Ryan. I know he's going to want to get rocks up, so I'm like, okay, we'll both take rocks. So that's the idea for that. I want rocks for the Volcarona, and I want rocks to pressure Rotom a bit, as he goes for the Toxic, which is actually fine with me. Mamoswine's kind of done this job at this point. Of course, Banded Zygarde is still an issue, but I know he's not going to want to stay in. I think he's going to want to go Rotom to defog these away, so I go into Roserade here. And yeah, he did not want to stay in, as I believe I go for the Giga Drain just in case he wanted to defog. And judging from that damage, I know he's defensive, and I know he's either going to probably want to set up with a Calm Mind or go for a Soft Boil. So I go for the Toxic that can't miss, and of course Synchronize doesn't work on me. I'm a Poison type. You're not Salazzle, and yeah, so that's crucial for this match because Mew is such a threat for me to wear down. So now that I got that off, I decide to go into Tornado Staring because I know I can take any hit, even a Nice Beam, because I know that he is defensive judging from that damage. Now, he goes for Super Fang and he misses, and that's unfortunate. Of course, I do have the Regenerator, but again, that's definitely bad for him because now he has to switch. He can't risk taking any more toxic damage and a potential Z Hurricane, so I go for U-turn just to get momentum, and now I can go right back out into Roserade and go for the Hidden Power Fire to weaken pretty much everything. He's not going to go hard Volcarona because the rocks are up, So he goes for Gyro Ball, and that does pitiful damage. It's 32, and I get some Black Sludge recovery back. Now, he's actually going to go into Zygarde here, and I believe I go for Giga Drain, expecting him to switch. So, well, well done, Duggal. You did your job. And, of course, I can still take one. I can still stake a banded 1,000 Arrows and Outrage, although if I do, I can't. So, like, at this point, Roserade is too crucial to me this match to just sack to Zygarde. The reason why is because it can beat Mew. You revealed to be defensive Super Fang variant. I don't believe he has Side Trap at this point. It can beat Tangrowth because it has Hidden Power, Fire, Technician, boosted. It can beat Rotom, and it can beat Bronzong. And the only thing it can't really beat is Volcarona and Zygarde. Well, it can beat Zygarde, but it'd have to take a hit. Can potentially also beat Volcarona, but I have things for that, such as Primarina and Illusion over there. So he goes into Mew as I go into Gallade. I believe I was sacking it off at this point, but in case he did want to double like he did into Mew, it gave me another chance to wake up from sleeping. So yeah, that's the idea behind that. As he goes into Tangrowth, and I do wake up actually, and I just go for the knockoff just in case he wanted to, I don't know, soft boil up or do something. But yeah, now my Gallade's awake, and you know, we can start putting in the finest. So I go into Roserade here, as that does nothing, and yeah, now time to start wreaking havoc. So HP Fire actually ends up killing Tangrowth, which is amazing. Roserade has proven to be amazing and fantastic throughout these March Madness games, just letting you guys know. But he goes into Zygarde now. I still don't want Roserade to take damage. It's cutting it close with his Outrage as he goes for the 1,000 Arrows, and that does damage to Mamoswine. My play now is always to Ice Shard here. There's no reason for me not to. If he decided 1,000 Arrows there, that could be potentially terrible for me, as yeah, Rotom took nothing from it, and I know he's going to want to defog now. So I can just go right back out into Roserade and potentially claim a kill. So he goes for the defog there, and I'm just slowly getting back some Black Sludge recovery as he goes into Mew. As I get back all the way to full, I know he's going to probably have to soft boil at this point in the match. He's running pretty low, so I just go right out into Tornado Starion, get my regenerator back, as he actually goes for Thunder Wave, which I was kind of surprised. I mean, not necessarily surprised, but Thunder Wave is never a bad move, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't know. I guess he calcs the Hidden Power Fire on the Bronzong and discovered that it was Technician. And my only I don't know. I guess Rotom-H could have been something that stood in Mew's way. I don't know. But he does go for Thunder Wave, he goes for the Yellow Magic, and thankfully I break out and go for the U-turn, getting momentum once again as I can go into Gallade and once again claim a kill as I go for the Drain Punch. Don't think he's going to go hard Volcarona there. Wouldn't really make much sense, but I get back some health. And at this point, there's really no need for me to have Tornado Starion because I'm paralyzed. So +1 Volcarona would be able to kill Tornado Starion. And yeah, of course Zygarde can kill as he did. Actually, it was a 2 KO, but that doesn't really matter. He just got rid of it. But now I can go right back out into Mamoswine. And again, Ice Shard is pretty much always my play. I can't risk Zygarde, you know, killing Mamoswine, killing my revenge killer for that. As he goes into Volcarona, which is fine. As I can now go into the Primarina. As he goes for Bug Buzz, and he gets a crit, which is unfortunate. But it's fine. He goes into Mew now, as I just go for the Sparkling Araya. As I do a decent amount. But now, unbeknownst to him, I do carry the Aqua Jet, and I go for the Aqua Jet, and I kill that Mew, get it out of the game, no more yellow color, and yeah, so now I can go into Zygarde here, and I still kind of want Primarina around for Volcarona, just in case that gets out of hand. So I go and sack the Mamoswine here. and goodbye Ryan. But yeah, Illusion can take one, and I do take one. Actually, I take it fairly decently as well, but I just want this thing out of the way, so I go for the Facade, get rid of that thing. If I went for Curse, he probably would have gone into Bronzong, which would not have helped me that much if he's like toxic or something. I don't know. Again, I'm Rest Talk, but he actually reveals a very interesting set at this point in the match, and it caught me by surprise. I would not have thought of this, but I keep going for Curse, right? As he actually ends up going for the Heal block, which basically cancels out my leftover recovery. So now I can't go for Rest and I don't get any leftovers. So he goes for the Gyro Ball here, but now I just get Click Facade and do damage. He does end up revealing the Toxic, which actually boosts Facade's damage, but I definitely would not have expected Heal block. It definitely could have worked out in the end if I wasn't at +2 already, but yeah, Illusion is just, you know, making himself not an illusion and shutting things down. I go for Facade here, kill the Bronzong, and at this point the only thing that can really kill me is a Z, Bug Buzz, or Savage Spin Out. So he goes into Volcarona, and he does go for the Z, Bug Buzz, and that kills me, which is fine though. I still have the one true counter, or check actually, in Primarina. Giga Drain could be an issue at +1, but I can still live a hit and then go for Aqua Jet after. I go for Sparkling Araya. Now, if he's not bulky, Aqua Jet will kill. I go for Aqua Jet and I do not kill. So he is somewhat bulky, but he does not have the Giga Drain, so he is not killing Primarina. So I go for the, well, actually he forfeits here, which is fine. Aqua Jet killed anyway, but other than that, yeah, won my first match for March Madness. So yeah, you know, Alan put in the finest. So next up, we have Meee versus actually. Now, Versus has an interesting team of Celesteela, Z Weavile, Tapu Fini, Jolteon, Mega Houndoom, Zygarde 10%, Celebi, and Dusclops. So, pretty threatening team. Weavile actually destroys my team. And, yeah, very glad though it's not Z Celesteela. That thing could have been an issue eventually, or in the end, but I do have things to put a stop to it. Now, let's go into my team real quick. So, for Versus, we have Choice Scarf Mamoswine with the Stealth Rock, Knockoff, Earthquake, and Icicle Crash. Now, Stealth Rock and Choice Scarf you may be scratching your head at, but as I said earlier, this is my only rocker. So if I want rocks in a match, I have to put it on Mamoswine. So that's why I have that. Knockoff is for things like Dusclops, is for things like Lefty Celesteela, is for things like Celebi, and then Icicle Crash obviously for stab, and then Earthquake obviously for stab. So I believe I have enough speed to outspeed Max Speed Houndoom? Yes, Max Speed Houndoom. 1 second, let me just run a quick calc real quick. So yes, I do believe I outspeed Max Speed Mega Houndoom and Max Speed Zygarde 10%. Now I won't outspeed Jolteon and I won't outspeed Weavile. I did this because I wanted to be adamant and I wanted to have more damage output than speed this match. So that's why I did that. And then next up we have Kyle, the Rotom-H with the leftovers, Discharge, Rest, and the Sleep Talk. So this set is mainly to help me put a stop to Celesteela. So offensive Celesteela cannot beat this even if it has Stone Edge, which could be an issue. I do outspeed max special attack Celesteela, or not. I do outspeed max speed Celesteela as long as it's not timid or jolly. And then Rest Talk is for recovery, of course, and it's so I can take hits from Weavile a lot better, as well as from Celebi and Mega Doom if it comes to that. Discharge is for those paras, you know, that's how we're out here winning games. And then Overheat is obviously for things like Weavile, Jolteon, Celesteela, etc. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Next up we have Duggal with the Yaki Berry, Toxic Spikes, Leech Seed, Giga Drain, and actually the Hidden Power Fighting. Now Toxic Spikes do a wonder against his team. His only defogger is Tapu Fini, And Tapu Fini does not beat Roserade, like, ever. So if he wants to defog that on the Roserade, then he's going to lose Tapu Fini. Giga Drain is for recovery, of course. Leech Seed is for recovery, of course. It also helps me wear down Dusclops if it turns out to be like a mean look or like a calm mindset. Helps me wear it down a lot better. Hidden Power Fighting is obviously for the Weavile. I will be able to one-shot it. And yeah, so the Yache Berry obviously helps me take Icicle Crashes a lot better. And with my defense investment, I believe I do take Banded Weavile's Icicle Crash. So that's the whole point behind that. Weavile is, again, a huge threat to my team, especially like a Swords Dance variant. But other than that, yeah. So next up we have Alan the Primarina, max defense, max HP with the Moonblast, Scald, Rest, another Rest Talk set. And again, I'm fearing that I'm fearing Banded Zygarde once again, and I'm also fearing Z Weavile. And I can take a Banded Poison Jab, and I can take a Life Orb knockoff into Poison Jab, and that's the whole point behind this spread. I can't take it well, but I can take it. So next up we have Swords Dance Gallade with the Swords Dance, Drain Punch, Poison Jab, and the knockoff. The HP investment allows me to take a Banded Weavile's knockoff, Rest dumped in attack, and then enough speed to outspeed, I believe, max speed Celebi if he does want to bring that. Poison Jab is for the Fini, knockoff is for the Celebi and Dusclops, and then Drain Punch is for that recovery stab on the Celesteela. And last but not least, this should be named Jack, by the way. We have the Assault Vest Tornadus Therian with the Superpower, knockoff, Icy Wind, and U-Turn. So this set mainly allows me to take on Megadoom, and that's the whole point behind it. Also gives me momentum versus things like Celebi and Dusclops. Enough speed, outspeed, max speed, Megadoom, and Zygarde 10%. Superpower is for the Megadoom, knockoff is for the lefty Celesteela and Fini. Icy Wind is for the Zygarde 10%, and then U-Turn is for momentum. But yeah, let's hop right into the match. And again, I know this video is probably going to be a very long one, but yeah, this is just for people who may have battled me and want to see my thought process behind it. I just wanted to share what I was thinking at the time and my thought process behind the building. And I know we haven't put out a video in a while, so yeah, that's why I'm bringing you this. So I'm bringing this squad right here. He's bringing the Weavile, Celebi, Dusclops, Tapu Fini, Megadoom, and probably the Banded Zygarde. So I lead Duggal as he leads Mega Houndoom, and again, my switch-in is always Tornadus as he goes for the Flamethrower and does about like nothing. So I know he's gonna switch, and I go for the U-turn just to get momentum here. And once again, as I said in the builder, where's his answer to Toxic Spikes? I know Misty Terrain prevents it from poisoning on that turn, but like he really doesn't have much for it. So I go for the Toxic Spikes right here. Now I go into Tornadus. I play tested versus this particular team, and the person I play tested with actually brought like a mean look type set where he tried to trap me with Curse. So I was wary about that, and I wanted something to be able to U-turn out of that just in case. So he goes for Shadow Punch, and that does like pitiful damage, as I can just go for knockoff, get the Eviolite out of the way. He does miss a Will-O-Wisp, which kind of hurts him, but it's not the end of the world for him. Again, Torn has Regenerator, so health isn't really a problem for it, and I'm not using Tornadus really to kill things, but more as a switch into different mons. So I go for Discharge, hoping for the para. Do not get it twice in a row, and this has turned out to be much worse Scald. So I go for Discharge again, do not get it. He goes for the Pain Split, and yeah, so we're playing this game. I'm going for Discharge once again, do not get the para. He's going for Pain Split once again. Kyle is really not helping me out here. He goes for Shadow Punch here, does nothing really. I'm a defensive Rotom. I go for Discharge again, as he goes for Pain Split again. And I go for Discharge once more, hoping for that para. Nope, not gonna get it. So Overheat kills at this point, so I'm like, okay, let's just go for it. Nope, we miss. We're out here missing. He goes for Pain Split, and That's just wasting overheat for me. I go for overheat again and finally kill that annoying Dusclops. And, okay, so let's go back. So I go for overheat here as he goes into Celesteela, and I have no idea why he went into Celesteela. That's a huge, I think that's a huge misplay personally. He should have taken that opportunity to either go Weavile or go into Banded Zygarde if it is banded and try and get a kill. But no, he goes into Celesteela. Again, Rotom-H is designed to take this thing on. So he actually doubles out there, which I don't know why. I guess he couldn't touch me with Celesteela or want me to switch. I go for rest just to get my health back. And now I can go into the Primarina. And it turns out to be Life Orb, actually. As he goes for the Zen Headbutt here, and again, personally, I think that's a misplay. But what do I know, right? I think he could have gone to Celesteela after realizing I was a defensive variant. But no, I get flinched, and I guess it works out for him. Primarina is mainly there for Zygarde anyway. So, yeah. He goes for 1,000 arrows, does a ton to me, as I just want to get more Life Orb damage on him and Poison Jam damage. I know I can take 1,000 arrows, so I go into Tornadus as he does a decent amount. And now I'm expecting an extreme speed, so I go into the Mamoswine, but he actually goes for 1,000 arrows, so that was a good play on his part. Weakened a lot of my team here, but yeah, I can just now go right back into the Rotom-H and continue to do what I've been doing. Again, toxic spikes are up, so you know it's just a matter of time before I wear down his team. I go for the Sleep Talk, get the overheat, and I miss. So Kyle is out here like 0 for 2 on overheats, or 1 for 3 on overheats, and it's not looking good for his record. But I don't want to take a knockoff, and I just go into Primarina to sack that thing off, as he's actually revealed to be Life Orb, I believe. Yep, so he goes for Shadow Claw. I guess expecting me to go make Gallade, but regardless, I can still take a Shadow Claw from this Weavile. He's not banded. If he crits me, that'd be unfortunate, but he didn't, as I go for the Drain Punch and just get my kill. So, yeah, now we can go into Mega Houndoom. And my play once again is to always go into Tornadus, as he goes for the Flamethrower, does nothing. And now my play is to U-turn out. Oh, I actually go for Superpower. So at that point, there was no reason for me not to Superpower, because I can U-turn out always the next turn, which is what I do. So now I can go into Rotom-H, I can go into Kyle, and I can continue to try to get those paralyzations with the discharge. I actually go for Sleep Talk, do not get a good move, as he just continues to sap my health, as I can just go right back out into Torn again. And again, my play is always Superpower on the Mega Houndoom, as he just goes right out into Tapu Fini. And yeah, you can just see the toxic spike damage is just putting in the finest of work. Not sure why he doubled out again, but he did, as I can now just go right back out into Rotom-H, and we can try again for those discharge paras. So we go for discharge again, and we do not get a para. But it is what it is, right? And now I don't want to take more damage on that. I figure he's also going to switch, as I just go into Tornadus Therian, as I can just U-turn out of that again. And now I can go into the Roserade, as he goes for the Surf. And now, I believe, I go for Leech. I actually expect him to go into Celesteela, which I don't know why he didn't. It was a fair, I think he should have gone into that, but he doesn't. He goes for the Nature's Madness, as I can just kill it off with the Giga Drain, as he can now go into Mega Houndoom and try to revenge kill me, but he actually crits me, and he actually burns me that turn. And again, at this point in the match, it didn't really matter, but you know, I haven't been having the best of luck this match, but that does happen. So again, I just want to U-turn out and get some momentum. So I go into Rotom-H, and you know, we're fishing for those paras again, right? Can we get it? No, we do not. He goes for the Leech Seed, but at this point, it does not matter. The poison will kill Mega Houndoom soon. And yeah, I just go into Tornadus again. Man, he crits me there actually, but it doesn't matter at this point. I go for Super Power just to get damage off as he goes in. He actually stays in Dark Pulses, and I die to the burn that he got on me with Flame Arrow earlier, but I still have the Scarf Mamoswine in the back. I go for the Earthquake, and I kill off Mega Houndoom. So that is my match versus. He made some plays that I don't necessarily agree with, but you know, we managed to come out on top, and he definitely put up a fight with all of his various threats. But yeah, so next up I had to play Ben. Now, Ben also had a threatening team. Everyone I've come across has had a threatening team, so that's no surprise. But Ben has Thundurus Incarnate, as is Zemon, Azumarill, Mamoswine, Blacephalon, Jirachi, Tentacruel, Miltank, and the Volibee. So he brought Volibee in this match, which I was a bit unsure if that was the actual play or the actual bring to put versus me, but he does bring it, and that serves as something of an answer to Mega Gallade. But yeah, let's look at my team that he had real quick. So versus Ben, I had Mega Gallade with the Shadow Sneak, Close Combat, Knockoff, and Zen Headbutt. Shadow Sneak, I believe, was for things like Scarf Blacephalon. It was for things like Belly Drum, Aqua Jet, Azumarill, and it was for things like Scarf Rachi potentially. Although it should be noted that Scarf Rachi cannot flinch Mega Gallade because of the Steadfast ability. Close Combat, obviously, for Stab. Knockoff is to knock off any Eviolites or any items that my opponent may want to bring. And then Zen Headbutt is also for Stab and for things like Tentacruel and Azumarill and Thundurus. So yeah, we're bringing enough speed, outspeed, max speed, Jirachi. The rest dumped into attack, and then the rest into HP after that. Pretty straightforward. So next up we have Illusion with the Assault Vest, the Pursuit, Return, Earthquake, and Self-Destruct. So this set is mainly to put a stop to Blacephalon. Pursuit, if he's switching out, will always kill. And if he's not switching out, it does over half to the Blacephalon. Return is just for Stab and for things against Thundurus Incarnate. Earthquake is for things like Jirachi and Tentacruel, and then Self-Destruct is if I want to get the hell out of the game. But no, it's basically like a last-ditch effort to kill something if Return cannot, or if Snorlax has outlived its usefulness. So yeah, that's the reason I'm bringing Illusion here. Definitely expected to put in work. It can take Thunder's Eye, if it's special, fairly decently. And yeah, that's the logic behind that. So next up we have Ryan the Mamoswine with, once again, the Choice Scarf Stealth Rock with the Ice Shard, Earthquake, and Icicle Spear. So Ice Shard is actually the stop. Okay, it's a bit outlandish, but if he decides to bring Tailwind on Thunder's Eye, Ice Shard will go first, even if he's Prankster, because I will be able to outspeed, I believe, with the investment I have. So that's the reasoning behind that. Earthquake is for General Stab and for things like Rachi, Tentacruel, and the Blacephalon in his own Mamoswine. Then Icicle Spear is just in case his Thunder's Eye is the Yachi Berry. So I'll be able to break Yachi with that and then continue to kill it off. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Not sure if I'll actually go for Stealth Rocks, or I wasn't sure if I'd go for Stealth Rocks during the game, but I didn't really want to put another move other than that on it. So yeah, once again, my drafting ability is coming to bite me. Yeah, I wanted Rox's matchup to force him to defog somehow, but yeah, next up we have Kyle the Rotom-H with the defog, Will-O-Wisp, Volt Switch, and the Pain Split. So this set basically takes on Thunder's Eye fairly well. Enough speed to outspeed anything trying to speed creep me. Takes on Jirachi decently okay, as long as it's not sub Calm Mind, which could be an actual issue. Of course, Mamoswine will outspeed it, and so will Mega Gallade, other than that. And then, of course, if he is sub Calm Mind, actually, Snorlax will be able to deal with it fairly decently. But yeah, Paint Split for recovery, Volt Switch for momentum, Will-O-Wisp to burn things like the Mamoswine and the Miltank, and then Defog to get rid of any hazards that may pester me. So next up we have Duggal with the Black Sludge with the Sludge Bomb, Spike Stun Spore, and the Synthesis. Running Modest this time with max HP and 12 in speed. So 12 in speed basically allows me to outspeed max speed Azumarill. Belly Drum could be an issue for me, and I can always take a +6 Aqua Jet with this investment and kill with the Sludge Bomb. So that's the idea behind that. Stun Spore to catch things like Rachi on the switch in, or Tentacruel, or Blastovelon if he does want to choose to switch that in. And then Spikes is for hazards, and then Synthesis is for recovery, pretty straightforward. And then next up we have Alan the Primarina with the Expert Belt, Psychic, Scald, Moonblast, and the Energy Ball. I didn't want to run Specs this week because I like the idea of switching up moves. Enough speed to outspeed Adamant Azumarill, max special attack, and then the rest into HP. So yeah, let's just get into the match. So, as I mentioned earlier, he brought the Thundurus Incarnate, Blastofelon, Mamoswine, Miltank, the Volibile, and the Rachi. So, I just decided to lead Mamoswine as he leads his own Mamoswine, and I don't want to lock myself into rocks at this point. I know there's he's probably not going to go into a Volibile or the Thundurus. I figure he's actually going to probably go into the Miltank, right? So I go for the Earthquake as he actually goes into Jirachi, which I don't really agree with that play, but he does. He reveals to be the Shuckleberry, so I'm Scarfed. I will stay in and try to kill it if I can, as he actually goes into Thundurus. Can't stay in at this point, you know, locked into Earthquake. So I go into Rotom-H as he goes for the U-turn, and at this point I think he's a bit physical. He goes into Miltank, and I think at this point I think he's going to want to get up rocks. So I go for the Will-O-Wisp, either that or he's going to try and Toxic me, but either way, I want to get a burn off, and I do. He goes for the Body Slam, and that does not do too much to me, as he goes for Facade now, this play. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a bit, but I go for the Volt Switch, and that damage basically reveals that he is Spadef. He's a Spadef, very Spadef Miltank. Not very attack invested, but I go for the Volt Switch just to get some momentum, as I can now go into Mega Gallade. I don't go for the knockoff. Oh, actually, going back on that, the Miltank was actually revealed to be Assault Vest, I believe. That's why Volt Switch was doing so little. But I wanted to go for the close combat just in case he did decide to go for Facade again and hurt me. But he goes into Volibile, which is revealed to be like max defense with the Eviolite, as I can now get a free switch into Rotom-H. And now I'm just going to want to go for the Paint Split to get back some leftovers recovery. I'm surprised he didn't pack Toxic on anything for the Rotom-H, but yeah, I can go for Volt Switch now just to get momentum once again. And hello, Mega Gallade. So BLS is back in, and I still think he wants to stay in, so I go for close combat as he goes into Blastofelon. Now, Shadow Sneak does not kill without some Stealth Rock damage or prior damage, so my play is always to go into Snorlax. As I do, even if he wanted to trick me, I would still have gone for the Pursuit just to kill this thing off. It's a huge threat to me. But he wants to withdraw, and he's punished for that heavily with the Pursuit. The crit actually does not matter, as I don't want to risk Thunder setting up, so I actually go for Return here, as he actually reveals the Thunder Wave, and I actually do crit him there, and that crit did matter, actually. He couldn't have killed me back, even after the Thunder Wave, unless he kept paralyzing me over and over again. But even with my attack investment, and I still wasn't able to kill the Thundurus without a crit, but that thing is gone, which is fantastic for me, as I don't want to stay in at this point. I can go into Rotom-H. In case he wants to get rocks, I can defog them away. If he does have Rock Slide or Stone Edge, he will be able to kill me if he's like Life Orb. If he's Sub, I won't be able to touch this thing at all, but it's a risk I have to take at this point. As I go for the Will-O-Wisp once more, as he goes into Joey. Yeah, he goes for Facade here. I just want out of there, so I go for the Volt Switch. I figure his Mamoswine can't really touch me, so my switching will always be the Rotom-H to that, as I can now go into the Gallade, and now I believe I can start clicking knockoff. And I do go for the knockoff, get rid of the Eviolite, so now he has no close combat switch-ins. Now I go into Primarina, and the plan is to get a kill, as I believe I go for the Scald, do not get a burn, and now I can also go right back out and do Rotom-H. Again, Jirachi has a tough time pressuring it with flinches, but he goes for the Healing Witch, which is surprising to say the least, as he now actually goes into Miltank, and he goes for the Rock Slide, as I believe I go for the Pain Split. So like, his Miltank spread was defensive with Assault Vest, which I'm not quite sure why he brought that, but he did. And I can just get my health all the way back, as I can now hard switch into Gallade. I know he's not going to want a Body Slam, and now I can claim my kill with close combat. Crit did not matter this time either. He can now go into the Volby, as my play is always to go into Kyle, the Rotom-H. As he goes into Mamoswine, again, sub could be an issue, but he is not sub. He goes for the Ice Level Crash, as I go for the Burn, and yeah, the game's pretty much over at this point. He goes for Ice Level Crash again, which does considerably less this time. And yeah, at this point, that's his play. Like, he just wants to flinch me and try to get differential. I'm going for Pain Split here just to get back some health. And I do, and at this point, I believe I go into Gallade this time, because I know I can take a hit because he's burned, as I can now just go right back out into Primarina. He goes for the Foul Play, and now I can proceed to win the game with Alan. So yeah, that's what happened. He goes for Earthquake, does an okay amount for a burn Mamoswine, and then I just win the game with Moonblast. So yeah, it was a 6-0, but again, crits definitely mattered for the Thundurus at least. And yeah, so at this point I was confirmed to make it to Pool Phase 2, but you know, there's no harm in playing your 4th game just for differential. So next up we have Omega Scizor, and he is rocking Z Garchomp, Gallade, Togekiss, Toxapex, Metagross, Greninja, Tangrowth, and Reggie. So he has a pretty threatening team, and I decided to bring Life Orb Mamoswine this week with the Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Ice Shard, and the Ice Cold Crash. Mamoswine is going to be key this game for the Garchomp, for the Togekiss, and for the Tangrowth if he does decide to bring those 3. Ice Cold Crash obviously hits those very well. Ice Shard for priority, Earthquake for stab, and then Stealth Rock for the rocks. Next up, we have Gallade with the Zen Headbutt, Knockoff, Ice Punch, and the Close Combat. Max Speed, just in case he decides to run Max Speed Gallade on his own. Maybe should have run Shadow Sneak, but I figured I needed all these moves for Garchomp, for Togekiss, for Metagross, for all these. All of this coverage was just very decent for me in general versus him, so that's why I brought that, and the rest dumped into attack. Next up, we have Bulky Rotom with the Thunder Wave, Hidden Power Ice, Volt Switch, and the Defog. Enough Speed, Outspeed, Max Speed, Metagross, then the rest dumped into Defense and HP. Hidden Power Ice, obviously, for the Garchomp. Volt Switch for Momentum, Thunder Wave for the Yellow Magic, and then Defog just to get rid of any hazards he wants to throw at me. And then next up, we have Tailwind on Tornadus Therian with the Foul Play, Hurricane U-Turn. Foul Play is for the Metagross, Z Hurricane is for everything else, and then U-Turn is for Momentum. Tailwind, just in case I can go for that, and then Mamoswine can come in and win the game, or something like Gallade come in and win the game, or even something like Primarina. So this has enough speed to outspeed his entire team at +2 on the Tailwind. Same thing with Mamoswine, and I believe, yeah, pretty much everything. So Primarina is here with the Scald, Psychic, Ice Beam, Moonblast. I'm rocking the Kabia Berry. Yeah, so that berry basically makes it so I take Poison type moves a lot better. So things like Poison Jab from Garchomp will not be able to kill me if you like Life Orb or something like that. Or same thing with Gallade, and same thing with Gunk Shot Greninja. So that's the whole point behind that. Scald is for stab and for the burns, you know. it will have better luck with Scald than Discharge. Psychic is for the Toxapex, and then Ice Beam is for Garchomp and the Tangrowth, and Moonblast is obviously for things like Mega Gallade and the Garchomp. So yeah, that's why we're bringing Alan. Next up, we have Duggal the Roserade with the Spike, Sludge Bomb, Hidden Power Fire, and the Synthesis. Enough speed, outspeed, max speed, Togekiss with the Black Sludge, Spikes for Hazard, Sludge Bomb for the Togekiss, Hidden Power Fire for the Metagross, and Synthesis for Recovery. This thing can't really beat Toxapex, but if he does bring Toxapex, then I'll be able to set up Spikes on it. I can also take a Life Orb Ice Beam from Greninja because it is not Protean. That is banned. Same with Battle Bond. It has to be Torrent. Also gives me switch into the Tangrowth, so that's the idea behind that. Natural Cure, just in case he wants to try to paralyze me with the Togekiss or something along those lines. But yeah, let's just hop right into the match, the final match of Pool Phase 1. So he's rocking the Mega Gallade, Z Garchomp, Greninja, Metagross, Togekiss, and the Regice, so very threatening team. He leads the Greninja as I lead the Primarina. Now, if he is a Gunk Shot, he will not be able to kill me. So my play is always to Moonblast here. After the Moonblast, that does a decent amount, so I figure out that he's like an offensive variant. Don't want to take a hit, so I go into the Rotom-H. And I can now go for the Defog just in case he wants to do something along those lines. I'm surprised he stayed in. If I were him, I might have gone hard into Garchomp, like expecting a Volt Switch or Overheat, but very good play on his part as he predicts that and goes for the Toxic. So now Rotom-H is a lot less useful. But yeah, I go for the Thunder Wave. This is probably a misplay on my part. Garchomp was an obvious switch in, but I didn't want to go for a hard prediction with the Hidden Power Ice, just because I didn't want to reveal it yet. Again, now that I think about it though, if I went for Will-O-Wisp, that could have been a pretty big issue for him. But regardless, I get some leftovers back as he goes for Stone Edge, and that does a ton as I go for the Hidden Power Ice, as he is revealed to be Yachi Berry. So that's good to know, kind of unfortunate, but yeah. So he goes for Stone Edge. I know I can take a Stone Edge, and I know he also runs the chance of not missing it, so I go into Tornadus Therian, and I want to preserve Rotom-H just so I can come in on Metagross later, or something along those lines, or sack it off to Rocks or something like that. But yeah, now that the Yachi Berry is gone, Mamoswine's Ice Shard will be able to pick up the kill, as I know he's going to want to switch, but I don't have a choice. If I go for U-turn, I die to the Rough Skin. So I go for Z Hurricane, as that does a ton to Metagross, as I can now go for the Foul Play. I know he's not going to want to Bullet Punch because Rotom-H is such an obvious switch in. So I go for the Foul Play and get rid of that thing, as he can now go to Togekiss. And I think he's Scarfed. I do think he's Scarfed at that point in the match, but if he's not, or if he was Scarfed, I didn't want to just sack Tornadus Therian like that, because it was still useful for things like Mega Gallade and Garchomp. So I go into Rotom-H just to sack that off. Especially for that damage, it was like something of an offensive variant. As I can now go into Mamoswine, and I know he's probably not going to want to stay in. If he did, good play on his part, but I could just get a Rocks, and I know Rocks are going to be crucial for me for things like Togekiss with Ice Shard, if he turns out to be Scarfed, and for the Garchomp. Not necessarily for the Garchomp, but for the Regice, so Earthquake can kill if he turns out to be offensive. So I go into Primarina as he just goes for the Dark Pulse, as he takes some Life Orb damage, and now he goes for the Gunk Shot, and you know, the Kabia Berry coming in clutch as I go for the Moonblast and get rid of that thing. So now he can go into Garchomp. I don't want to risk him setting up, so I just go for the Moonblast. I know he probably wouldn't set up, but Primarina had pretty much run its course at this point. It dies to Speedy Togekiss, it dies to Mega Gallade, and it dies to Regice, and can't really do much to Regice. So I just sack this thing off, as I can now go into Mega Gallade and Ice Punch this man into oblivion. So that is what I do, as Garchomp is gone, as he now goes into Togekiss, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, he's probably Scarfed. He's most definitely Scarfed. But here's the thing. I can live an Air Slash and a Dazzling Gleam, right? And I won't be able to be flinched because of Steadfast, my ability. But if I let Mega Gallade get weakened, then he can win with his own Mega Gallade if he is Swords Dance, Shadow Sneak. +2 Shadow Sneak does kill Tornadus Therian, so I would not be able to get a Tailwind off. And then of course Zen Headbutt could kill Roserade, and Close Combat could kill Mamoswine. So I definitely want to preserve my Mega Gallade, so I go into Roserade, and I know Roserade can take an Air Slash. Reason I went into Roserade and sack it off was because it doesn't deal with Gallade, and it does not deal with the Regice, and it also tells me whether or not Togekiss is Scarfed, because I have enough speed to outspeed max speed. So it turns out he is Scarfed. So I now go into Ryan, and I go for the Ice Shard, I believe, and that does a decent amount. So that tells me he's offensive. I outspeed max speed Regice, so I go for the Earthquake and just kill that thing off. Now this play is definitely clutch. So to win the game, I need Mamoswine around. I need it for Ice Shard for Togekiss. Now, if I stay in, and he stays in and goes for Close Combat and kills me, I lose the game. If he goes for Swords Dance and I stay in and I go for Earthquake, I win the game. If I switch out and he goes for Swords Dance, it becomes somewhat of a 50-50 on what he'll do. And if he attacks me on the switch out, then it's also a 50-50 on whether or not I can win, because Tornadus Therian would still be around. So, actually, no. If he attacks me as I switch out, then I pretty much win the game, because Shadow Sneak, not boosted at +2, cannot kill Tornadus Therian. So, I have to switch out. I do. And the reason why I switch into Mega Gallade is because +2 Shadow Sneak does kill Torn-T from the range I'm at. It does not kill Mega Gallade, and Mega Gallade has a chance to speed tie and get some damage off. So he Mega Evolves and he goes for the Swords Dance, and that's worst case scenario for me. I wanted him to attack me with the Close Combat, but he goes for Swords Dance, as he now goes for Shadow Sneak, and I do live, actually. So if he went for Zen Headbutt and risked the speed tie, which I found out later that he was max speed, then he had a chance to win. But because he went for Shadow Sneak, I was able to do enough damage to get him to the point where Ice Shard from Mamoswine can kill him off. So yeah, that's exactly what I do. He goes for Shadow Sneak, does not get a crit, thankfully, as I go for the Ice Shard, kill that thing off. And now because Togekiss is not Yachi Berry, I can kill that thing off with the Ice Shard. So yeah, definitely some clutch plays at the end there. Very good game to Omega, Scizor Omega. I believe he made it out of pool 1 as I did, so props to him on that. But yeah, we made it to pool phase 2, and I will be recording that sooner rather than later. I believe I'll probably record it tomorrow sometime. But yeah, if you made it this far, guys, thanks for watching. Again, I know this is going to be a really long video, but regardless, thanks again for the support, and stay tuned for more March Madness. Peace.